All right, so get this. Today we're diving deep into something you probably never think about. Bus safety?
Oh, yeah, bus safety.
But not just anywhere.
Interesting.
Specifically here in Ontario. And you know we wouldn't do this without an awesome source.
Of course not. What is it this time?
We've got this super detailed inspection checklist.
Yeah.
It's used for buses and trailers.
Right.
And let me tell you, it is way more interesting than you'd think.
Really? I'm intrigued.
I mean,
What way?
well, for starters, it's not just about, making sure the tires are inflated and the lights work. It's really like this whole system
Huh?
designed to keep everyone on board safe, like all the passengers, the driver, everyone.
I see. So it's a more holistic approach to safety.
Yeah, exactly. Like a whole web of interconnected things. And I think what's cool about it is it gives us this peek behind the curtain,
Oh, I like
like
that.
what's actually going on to make sure that bus ride is safe.
That is fascinating. Most passengers probably never even consider the level of detail that goes into these inspections.
No, I know I didn't. Like, I was expecting something pretty basic.
Yeah.
Brakes, lights, the kind of obvious stuff.
Sure.
But this checklist goes into some surprising areas.
Like what?
Well, it even starts with accessibility features.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, which honestly wouldn't have been my first thought.
I can see that. You'd probably think of the mechanical stuff first.
Exactly. But it's a great place to start, I think.
Why is that?
Well, because it shows that commitment to inclusivity right from the get-go.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Everyone deserves a safe and accessible ride.
Yeah, totally. And we're not just talking about like ramps and lifts here.
Right.
The checklist actually says that if a bus doesn't return to its normal height after kneeling, for passengers in wheelchairs, that's a major defect.
Wow, I hadn't thought about that. So it's not just about getting people on the bus, but making sure the experience is smooth and dignified for everyone.
Exactly.
That's a really great point.
So, okay, accessibility is covered.
Yeah.
What about the thing that's probably top of mind for like anyone getting on a bus? The brakes.
Of course, brakes are crucial.
Right.
And the checklist really goes deep on both air and hydraulic systems.
So is it like super technical?
Well, what's interesting to me is the distinction they make between like minor and major defects.
Okay.
So for example, like a slow air pressure buildup, that might be a minor issue.
Mm-hmm.
But then complete brake failure, obviously,
Yeah.
major defect, takes the vehicle right off the road immediately.
That makes sense. It's like layers of safety, right?
Exactly. You want those redundant systems in place just in case.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of layers of safety, I saw something about a towing vehicle protection system. What is that exactly?
Oh, that's a cool one. So that's a safety feature specifically for articulated buses, those bendy ones you see.
Oh, yeah.
So it basically makes sure that if the towing part, the front section, if that has a problem, the trailer section doesn't just go rogue.
Interesting.
Yeah. And if that system is faulty, it's a major defect, which, honestly makes you feel a bit more secure knowing there's a backup, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Just in case something goes wrong.
Okay, so that's brakes and this special towing system, both pretty crucial. But then I got to a section that really threw me. Cargo securement.
Cargo securement.
Yeah.
For a passenger bus.
Yeah. Like, why is that so important? It's not like they're hauling freight or anything.
Well, think about it. They have luggage compartments. Sometimes they carry equipment underneath.
True.
And even just a few boxes in the back. Like, that can be a hazard if they're not secured properly.
Right, if they're just, like, sliding around back there.
Exactly. And the checklist uses really strong language here. Insecure cargo is a major defect.
Ooh.
So, they're not messing around. It paints a pretty vivid picture of, like, the potential danger.
Yeah, I get you. It's not just about suitcases flying around if the bus makes a sudden stop.
Right.
It's like the weight distribution and how shifting cargo could, mess with the whole handling of the bus.
Exactly. And it goes even a step further.
Oh.
Yeah. With load cover.
Load covering.
Yeah, which might seem like a really small detail. But shows they're thinking about, like, protecting stuff from the elements or damage.
Right.
So it's not just about things falling out. It's like they're really thinking about everything.
It's like they're thinking about those suitcases getting rained on or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that these inspections go beyond just the obvious stuff.
Okay, so far we've got accessibility, brakes, this special system for the bendy buses, and even making sure the luggage is tied down right.
Right.
But honestly, as I kept reading,
Yeah.
I was really struck by how much this checklist goes beyond, like, the things you'd expect.
Oh, yeah. Give me an example, like what kind of stuff?
Well, it's like they're thinking about everything that could possibly go wrong. And even things that seem pretty minor, they can actually have a big impact on safety,
Okay, I'm really curious now. Like, what's an example of that?
Well, like, this one blew my mind.
What is it?
Something as simple as a missing fuel tank cap.
Really?
Yeah, it's a major defect.
Huh. I never would have thought of that. But I guess, yeah, it makes sense.
Right.
It's a fire hazard.
Exactly. So it's like, they're not messing around.
No, they're not. They're taking every potential risk seriously.
Or what about this? A damaged frame.
The frame of the bus.
Yeah, like it specifically mentions a visibly sagging frame as a major defect.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that makes sense, though.
Right.
The frame is like the skeleton of the bus. It has to be solid.
Totally. And then, okay, this one I thought was really interesting.
Okay, hit me with it.
A deflated airbag in the suspension system.
So interesting.
Right. I honestly thought like a flat tire was more serious.
Yeah, you would think that.
But no, a deflated airbag is a major defect.
It's all about those interconnected systems again.
Yeah.
Think about it. Those airbags aren't just there for a comfy ride. They're actually part of the suspension system.
Oh, okay.
So, they help the bus handle properly.
Right.
And if one's deflated, it can really throw off the balance and potentially lead to instability.
Especially like at higher speeds, I'm guessing.
Yeah, exactly.
This whole deep dive is making me realize that bus safety is way more complex than I ever thought.
I know, right?
Like, I'm starting to see things from the inspector's perspective.
It is fascinating. What's really cool about this checklist is it doesn't just focus on the big, obvious things.
Yeah.
It goes into all those tiny details that can actually make a big difference.
Yeah, it's like every little detail matters.
Exactly, and they all contribute to a safe journey.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground already, but there's so much more to uncover in this checklist. I'm ready to keep going.
Okay, let's do it. What's next?
Well, let's shift our focus to the driver. After all, they're the ones behind the wheel, making those crucial decisions that affect everyone on board.
Sounds good to me. Welcome back to our bus safety inspection deep dive. Before the break, we were talking about all those little details that can actually have a big impact on safety.
It's crazy how much we just take for granted, Like, I never would have thought that a missing fuel cap was such a big deal. But you're right, it's a fire hazard, so it makes sense.
Exactly. It's all about anticipating those potential risks and being proactive.
Yeah, totally.
So, speaking of potential risks, let's talk about something that's pretty essential for, well, keeping the bus rolling. The wheels and tires.
Okay, yeah. Tires. Seems pretty basic, right? What's so special about inspecting those?
Well, it goes beyond just making sure the tires are inflated, This checklist goes into a surprising level of detail about the wheels and tires.
Like what?
Well, for starters, they really emphasize those wheel fasteners. The nuts and bolts that hold everything together.
Right. Makes sense.
If those are loose or missing, it's a major defect. For obvious reasons.
Yeah, I can imagine. A wheel coming off at speed, no thank you.
Exactly. But it's not all, dramatic stuff like that.
Okay, what else is there?
Well, take something like a leaking wheel seal.
Leaking wheel seal?
Yeah. It might not be a major defect right away.
Okay.
But it's definitely an indicator that something needs attention. So it's like preventative maintenance, right? Catching those small problems before they become big ones.
Right. So it's like a checkup for the wheels, make sure everything is in tip-top shape.
Exactly. And then there's a whole section dedicated to the tires themselves.
Okay.
And it's not just about checking for wear and tear, The checklist specifically mentions a tire making contact with another tire as a major defect.
Wait, what? How does that even happen?
Well, it could be a problem with the suspension, maybe the alignment is off, or something else that's causing the tires to rub together.
Yeah.
And that's a big no-no, because it can lead to uneven wear, overheating, potentially even a blowout.
Sometimes you hear that rumbling sound on a bus and you just assume it's a bumpy road. But now I'm thinking, what if it's the tires rubbing together?
It's a good reminder to pay attention to those sounds. They could be giving you some clues about the condition of the vehicle.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so we've got the wheels and tires covered.
Yep, moving right along.
What about visibility? That's got to be super important for the driver, especially in, bad weather.
Absolutely. And the checklist addresses that with a section on windshield wipers and washers.
Okay, sure. Windshield wipers, pretty basic, right?
Well, it might seem like a minor detail. But a malfunctioning wiper system can be a major safety hazard, especially, when it's raining or snowing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You got to be able to see.
Right.
I'm guessing, like, a cracked windshield would also be a problem.
You got it. Any obstruction to the driver's view is a no-go.
Makes sense.
The checklist says specifically, if those wipers or washers don't clear the driver's field of vision, it's a major defect.
Okay, so they're making sure the driver can see. What about things that might be dangerous to the passengers? Is there anything in the checklist about that?
Oh, absolutely. There's a section here that caught my eye.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Dangerous goods.
Dangerous goods. Wait, buses transport people, not hazardous materials, right?
Right. But think about it. Luggage, packages, maybe equipment stored on the bus. Some of that stuff could fall under dangerous goods.
Okay, I see. Like, I wouldn't want to be sitting next to someone's suitcase full of flammable liquids.
Exactly. So the checklist makes sure that all the regulations are being followed for transporting anything that could be potentially hazardous.
Right, that makes a lot of sense. Safety first. Okay, so what else is there?
Well, there's this section that's a bit more general, but equally important.
Okay, what's that?
The general section.
General section. What goes in there?
Well, it's kind of where the inspector's expertise and judgment come in. It covers any serious damage or deterioration, anything that's noticeable
Okay.
and might affect the vehicle's safe operation. So it's kind of a catch-all, for anything that doesn't fit neatly into the other categories.
Right, right. So it's like giving the inspector the freedom to flag any red flags they see, even if it's not specifically listed on the checklist.
Exactly, because you don't want anything slipping through the cracks.
Yeah, for sure. Human judgment is important too. Okay, so what's next in this fascinating checklist?
Let's talk about exhaust.
The exhaust system. Yeah. Okay. Well, we all know exhaust fumes are bad news, but why is this section so important? It's not like the passengers are breathing in those fumes directly.
Well, you'd be surprised. A minor exhaust leak might not be a big deal.
Yeah.
But if those fumes are entering the passenger compartment,
oh, right,
that's a major defect. So this part of the checklist is about ensuring those gases are properly vented and don't pose a risk to anyone, inside or outside the bus.
It's like another layer of safety we don't even think about.
Exactly. It all adds up to a safe and reliable transportation experience.
I'm starting to get the picture. This checklist isn't just about checking boxes. It's about really understanding the principles of safety and how they apply to every aspect of the vehicle.
You got it.
Okay, so we've covered exhaust fumes. What's next?
Let's talk about the exterior body and frame of the bus.
The frame. Okay, that sounds important.
It is. This section is all about ensuring the structural integrity of the bus.
Right.
So we're talking about things like loose or missing body parts.
Okay.
Insecure compartment doors, and, of course, damage to the frame itself.
Oh, right. I see the checklist mentions a visibly shifted, cracked, collapsing, or sagging frame member as a major defect. That sounds serious.
It is. The frame is like the backbone of the bus, and any compromise to its integrity could have really bad consequences.
Right. So they're making sure the bus can actually hold up to all the wear and tear of, driving around every day.
Exactly. It's got to be able to withstand those stresses and strains.
Okay. So they've checked the frame for any problems. What's next?
Let's move on to something pretty vital for keeping that bus moving. The fuel system.
Ah, the fuel system. Yeah, I can see how any leaks or problems there would be a major concern.
Absolutely. So a missing fuel tank cap, which we've already talked about.
Right.
Big no-no. But this section also highlights the importance of a secure fuel tank.
Okay.
And addresses any, dripping fuel leaks.
Right. I guess that's, not just about the mechanics of the vehicle, but also about fire risks and stuff like that.
Exactly. It's about thinking about all the different kinds of hazards and taking steps to prevent them.
Okay, so they've checked the fuel system for leaks or anything dangerous. Man, this checklist is really thorough.
It is. They don't miss a thing.
Okay, so what else have we got?
Well, let's shed some light on another important aspect.
Okay.
Lamps and reflectors.
Lights.
Yeah.
Okay. That seems pretty straightforward. You need headlights, taillights, brake lights, all the basics.
You got it. But the checklist goes into quite a bit of detail, making sure that all the required lamps are functioning properly and that the reflectors are there and in good condition.
Okay.
It covers everything.
Yeah, like what?
From headlights and taillights to turn signals, brake lights.
Right.
Even those passenger safety lamps you see inside the bus.
Oh, yeah, the ones that come on when the door opens.
Exactly. It's about making sure the bus is visible from every angle.
Yeah, that makes sense. I noticed in the checklist, it says the failure of both low-beam headlights is a major defect.
Yeah.
Same with the rearmost taillights, which makes sense. You got to be able to see and be seen, especially at night or in bad weather.
Exactly. And it's not just about the driver seeing the road. It's about other vehicles seeing the bus,
Right, right.
Making sure everyone's safe.
Okay, so we've made sure the bus is properly illuminated.
We have.
What about the interior? Anything about the passenger compartment in this checklist?
Oh, absolutely. There's a whole section on that.
Okay. What are we looking for in there?
Well, it covers all kinds of potential hazards.
Like what?
Things like damaged stanchion padding,
Yeah.
those padded bars you often see near the doors,
Yeah, right.
damaged steps or floors,
Mm-hmm.
insecure overhead luggage racks, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Stuff falling on you from the overhead bins? No, thank you.
Exactly. It's all about preventing those potential injuries
Mm-hmm.
and making sure everyone has a smooth ride.
Right. So are there any major defects in that section?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Malfunctioning or missing passenger restraints. That's a big one.
Right. The seatbelts.
Exactly. No exceptions there.
Yeah, you want to make sure everyone's buckled up. I also noticed that even a single insecure passenger seat
Mm-hmm.
is a major defect if that seat is occupied.
That's right. They're not messing around with passenger safety.
No, they're not. So it's like they're checking every single seat to make sure it's properly secured.
Exactly. Every passenger, every seat, they all deserve the same level of attention.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, what's next?
Let's move on to something that's, well, pretty crucial for controlling a bus.
What's that?
Steering.
Steering. Yeah, okay, that's kind of important. What are we checking for there?
Well, this section is all about making sure the driver has, a good solid connection to the wheels.
Right.
So they're checking things like steering wheel lash.
Steering wheel.
Yeah, that's the amount of free play in the steering wheel. Like how much it moves before the wheels actually start to turn.
Oh, okay, I get it.
And if there's too much lash, that's a major defect.
Yeah, I can see how that would be dangerous. You wouldn't want any delay in the steering.
Exactly. Especially when you're maneuvering a big vehicle like a bus.
Okay, so what else are they looking for in the steering system?
Well, they're checking to make sure the steering wheel is secure, obviously, and that it responds normally. So no sticking or anything like that.
Right, right. It's all about having that smooth, precise control.
Exactly, which is essential for safe driving.
Okay, so the steering's all checked out. What's next on our checklist adventure?
Let's talk about suspension.
The suspension system. Isn't that just about making the ride smoother?
Well, it's definitely a factor in passenger comfort, but it goes way beyond that.
Yeah.
The suspension is crucial for maintaining stability,
Mm.
Especially when the bus is fully loaded with passengers and navigating curves and bumps and all that.
Right, so what are they looking for when they inspect the suspension?
Lots of things.
Mhm.
Air leaks in air suspension systems,
Mm-hmm.
broken spring leaves,
Oh, pink
loose or missing fasteners.
Right, right. Anything that could compromise the suspension.
Exactly. And remember that damaged airbag we talked about earlier?
Oh, right, yeah.
That falls into this section too. It's a major defect for a reason. Those airbags help absorb those bumps and keep the bus riding smoothly.
Right, so if an airbag is damaged, it could mess with the balance of the bus.
Exactly. And potentially lead to, instability.
Especially at higher speeds, I imagine.
Right.
Wow, this deep dive has been so informative.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it? All the thought and detail that goes into these inspections. It's all about safety.
Yeah, every item on that checklist is designed to prevent some kind of hazard and just, ensure that the bus is running safely and reliably for everyone on board.
Well said. It's really a team effort to keep those buses rolling smoothly and safely.
Okay, so I think we're ready for the final part of this checklist. What's on the agenda for this last section?
Well, let's wrap things up with a look at the driver controls and some final thoughts on the importance of these inspections.
All right, we're back. Ready for the final stretch of our bus safety inspection deep dive.
Let's do it.
This checklist has been a real eye-opener for me. I don't think I'll ever look at a bus the same way again.
I know what you mean. It really makes you appreciate all the work that goes into keeping those buses running safely.
Totally. So for this last part, we're focusing on the driver, right?
Exactly. The driver is a key part of the safety equation.
Makes sense. After all, they're the ones behind the wheel, making those decisions that affect everyone on board.
Right. So this section of the checklist is all about making sure the driver has everything they need to operate the vehicle safely and effectively.
Okay, so what kind of stuff are we talking about here?
Well, it covers all the essential controls.
Like what?
The accelerator, the clutch, the gauges, indicators, you name it. It's about ensuring those controls are in good working order and that they're giving the driver accurate information.
So it's like making sure the driver's office is set up properly.
Exactly. They need to have everything they need at their fingertips to do their job safely.
Are there any specific things in this section that stand out?
One thing that caught my eye is that the accelerator can't stick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the engine has to return to idle when the accelerator is released.
Makes sense.
especially carrying passengers.
Yeah, can you imagine if the bus just kept accelerating even when the driver took their foot off the gas?
It doesn't bear thinking about.
Hmm.
It really highlights how important it is for even those basic controls to be functioning properly.
Totally. Okay, so what else?
Well, beyond the pedals and gauges, they also check the driver's seat itself, making sure it's in good condition, securely mounted, and that the seatbelt works.
Oh, right. So the driver's safety is important too.
Absolutely.
They have to be comfortable and secure to do their job properly.
Exactly. A tired or uncomfortable driver is not going to be as alert and focused.
Right. And that can impact everyone on the bus. Okay, so we've covered a lot in this deep dive. Accessibility, brakes, tires, exhaust, even the driver's seat.
We've been through the whole checklist.
Hmm.
It's pretty amazing how much detail goes into making sure buses are safe.
It's really incredible. I feel like I've learned so much.
Me too. It's been a great deep dive.
I know I'm going to be looking at my next bus ride a little differently. I might even start checking for sagging frames and missing fuel caps.
I encourage everyone listening to do the same. Next time you're on a bus, take a moment to really look around. You might be surprised by what you notice.
Yeah, that's a great point. So what's the big takeaway from all of this? What do we want our listeners to remember?
Well, I think the main thing is that bus safety is a system. It's not just about one big thing. It's about all these little details working together.
Yeah, all those interconnected elements we've been talking about.
Right. It's about the mechanics of the vehicle, the driver, the passengers, even the cargo.
It takes a lot to keep everyone safe on the road.
It really does. But this checklist shows that a lot of thought and effort goes into making those bus rides as safe as possible.
I think our listeners are definitely walking away with a whole new appreciation for bus safety. And who knows, maybe they'll even spot a potential issue and report it, helping to keep everyone safe.
Absolutely. We can all play a part in keeping our communities safe. Sometimes it starts with just being aware and paying attention.
Well said. Well, that brings us to the end of our bus safety inspection deep dive. I hope you found it as fascinating as I did.
Thanks for joining us.
And until next time, stay curious and keep exploring. So, thinking about getting your Ontario Class F license.
A lot of people are.
It's a big step, but it opens up some amazing opportunities for driving those larger vehicles, passenger vans, shuttles, even some ambulances.
A whole new world, yeah.
It really is. We're going to take a deep dive today into all the ins and outs of getting that Class F. We've got this awesome guide to help us out. It was created by a paramedic student who just aced the whole process.
And they really wanted to help others navigate it.
Yeah, it's like having a friend who already knows all the tricks walk you through it step by step.
And what I love about this guide is that it doesn't just tell you what to do, but also explains why.
Right. It's about becoming a safer, more confident driver, not just checking boxes.
Exactly.
So first things first, medical clearance. This one kind of threw me for a loop at first. Why would driving a van require a doctor's visit?
Right. It seems a bit much.
Yeah.
But the medical assessment is actually pretty thorough, and it makes sense when you think about the responsibility involved.
So it's more than just vision and hearing then?
Oh, yeah. They do check those, of course, but they also look at things like neurological and mental competence.
Wow, they check your mental competence. That seems pretty intense for just a driving license.
It's not about diagnosing mental illnesses or anything.
Right.
It's more about making sure you have the cognitive skills and judgment to handle a larger vehicle and potentially stressful driving situations.
Right, because you could be responsible for a lot of passengers.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. It's about being a responsible driver, not just physically capable. And speaking of the medical assessment, there's a urine test, too.
Yeah.
Is that really necessary?
It might seem a little random, but it's actually crucial for assessing kidney function, which can be a key indicator of overall health and potential medical conditions that could affect driving.
So it's all about making sure you're in top shape to handle the demands of driving a Class F vehicle.
Yep, making sure you're good to go.
Okay, so you've cleared the medical hurdle. Next up is the written test. Think back to your G1 test jitters.
Oh, yeah.
Get ready for round 2. But this time, it's all about buses.
You'll need to score at least 80% on both sections, signs and rules.
Right.
The signs section is pretty straightforward, testing your knowledge of common road signs. But the rules section is where it gets really interesting.
Oh,
You'll be surprised by how much detail is involved when it comes to bus regulations.
like what kind of bus-specific rules are we talking about?
Things like passenger limits, specific loading and unloading procedures, even emergency exit protocols.
Wow.
It goes way beyond your average driving knowledge.
So what's the best way to tackle this beast of a written test? our guide has some helpful tips, right?
Absolutely. The MTO handbook is your Bible here. Read it thoroughly, maybe even twice,
Really?
and pay close attention to those bus-specific details. This isn't a time to skim. You need to know this stuff inside and out.
No shortcuts here. And the guide mentions some free online resources that are incredibly helpful for practice too, right?
Yes, two websites really stand out, Driving Test and Commercial Driver. They offer hundreds of practice questions. Nice. Many of them are direct quotes from the handbook too, which is amazing for getting familiar with the wording and the concepts they use.
So consistent study using those resources is key here. No last-minute cramming for this one.
Exactly.
Eh.
Now comes the exciting part, the road test.
The main event.
And this is where things get really hands-on. Before you even think about hitting the road, you'll need the right vehicle.
Okay, so what are the requirements there? I'm guessing it has to be a full-size bus.
Not necessarily. It can be a bus, but it can also be a full-size van that seats between 10 and 24 passengers. Now, here's where it gets interesting. You can actually use a U-Haul 9-foot cargo van for the test.
Wait, a U-Haul cargo van? That seems a little unexpected.
It does, but it actually aligns perfectly with the practical application of the Class F license.
How so?
Many jobs that require a Class F license involve transporting people or goods in vehicles similar in size and weight to a cargo van.
So you're proving you can handle a larger vehicle, even if it's not a traditional passenger van. That makes a lot of sense, but I'm guessing you can't just show up with your U-Haul and hope for the best. What about paperwork?
Oh, you are absolutely right. You need to have all your ducks in a row before heading to the test center. Your driver's license is a given, of course.
Right.
But you'll also need a daily vehicle inspection report and something called a Schedule 2 inspection.
Schedule 2 inspection? What exactly is that?
Think of it as a detailed check of the vehicle's safety features. It's like a mini quiz before you even start driving, showing the examiner that you know your stuff when it comes to vehicle safety.
So forgetting these documents is a big no-no.
Huge.
It's game over before you even begin.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got the vehicle, we've got the paperwork, we're ready to break down the road test itself.
Okay.
What challenges await?
Well, get ready for what our guide calls the inspection gauntlet.
Ooh, sounds intense.
You'll face 3 inspections: exterior, in-cab, and interior.
3.
Each one is designed to assess your knowledge of vehicle safety and operation.
Okay, so I'm guessing there are some specific things they're looking for in each of those inspections.
You bet. For the exterior inspection, knowing the difference between minor and major defects is crucial. The guide actually provides a really helpful breakdown of these defects straight from the Schedule 2 document.
So you need to be able to identify those defects and confidently explain them to the examiner. You're showcasing your expertise here.
Exactly.
What kind of things are we talking about?
Well, for example, if you're asked about the exhaust system, you'll need to know where to look for leaks, how to assess the system's security, and what to do if you find a problem.
And I bet those tires are under scrutiny too, right?
Absolutely. You'll be checking the tread depth, the sidewalls, looking for any signs of damage or leaks.
It's all about demonstrating a meticulous approach to vehicle safety.
Right.
So that's a thorough examination of the vehicle's exterior. What about the in-cab inspection? What can I expect there?
The in-cab inspection is all about systematic checks and clearly communicating your process to the examiner. You'll be starting the vehicle, assessing the gauges, checking the lights and signals, basically demonstrating that you understand how everything operates.
It's almost like a performance.
It is, a little bit.
Showing your command of the vehicle's systems.
Yep.
And clear communication is key.
Exactly. Now, the interior inspection is similar to the in-cab, but with a focus on passenger safety and comfort.
All right.
You'll be inspecting seatbelts, seats, emergency equipment, anything that could impact passenger well-being.
Got it. So be prepared to explain your findings and demonstrate your knowledge of those safety regulations.
Exactly.
Okay. So we've conquered the inspection gauntlet.
Phew.
What's next on this road test adventure?
It's time to hit the open road.
Whoa.
This is where all your preparation really comes into play. You'll be tested on highway driving, curbside parking, and navigating intersections.
Sounds like the real deal. I'm a little nervous just thinking about it.
Don't worry, we'll break it down step by step. For highway driving, maintaining proper speed control is essential, along with smooth lane changes and merging techniques.
Okay.
It's all about demonstrating a confident and controlled driving style.
And I remember from my G1 test how important those highway on and off ramps can be.
Oh, yeah.
You need to nail those ramp speeds.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Staying within those posted ramp speeds shows the examiner that you understand the importance of adjusting your speed for different road conditions and traffic flow.
Right.
It's all about being aware and adaptable.
Okay, so highway driving is covered. What about curbside parking? I'm always a little nervous about parallel parking.
Don't worry, it's not quite as complicated as parallel parking.
Okay, good.
Our guide refers to it as pulling off to the side and securing your vehicle as if you had to check something.
Okay.
It might sound straightforward, but there are specific things the examiner will be looking for.
Like what? Give me the inside scoop.
It's all about precision and attention to detail. You'll be assessed on proper signaling, maneuvering as close to the curb as possible without hitting it, and securely parking the vehicle. Oh, and don't forget about those four-way flashers.
Ah, yeah, those four-way flashers. They're crucial for signaling to other drivers that you're stopped and potentially about to exit the vehicle. Safety first.
Exactly. Now let's talk about intersections. This is where your observation skills and adherence to traffic laws are really put to the test.
Right.
Coming to a complete stop at red lights and stop signs, looking both ways before proceeding, and staying within your lane markings. These are all non-negotiables.
It's about demonstrating that you're a safe and predictable driver.
Right.
No sudden moves or risky maneuvers. Smooth and steady wins the race.
You got it. And speaking of smooth and steady, that brings us to the final challenge. Backing up.
Oh no, backing up always makes me a little nervous. Are there any tips for acing this part?
Absolutely. And this might surprise you, but our guide's secret to success is to get out and look before you back up.
Wait, you mean physically get out of the vehicle and look around?
Yes. It might seem simple, but the examiners insist on it for a reason.
Oh,
It demonstrates a heightened level of awareness and commitment to safety.
okay.
By physically checking your surroundings, you eliminate blind spots and potential hazards.
It's like taking that extra moment to double-check your work before submitting an important assignment. You're ensuring that you haven't missed anything crucial.
Exactly.
I like it. So once you've done your walk around, what's next?
Then it's time to execute the backing maneuver itself. Remember, signaling, four-way flashers, and a gentle tap of the horn are all part of the procedure.
Okay.
The key is to maintain smooth, controlled movements and avoid making too many adjustments.
And I've heard that it's best to avoid using the backup camera even if your vehicle is equipped with one. Is that right?
Yes, it's all about showcasing your ability to maneuver the vehicle using traditional methods,
Right.
relying on your mirrors and spatial awareness.
Right.
You're proving you can handle it old school.
I see. So it's a test of your classic driving skills.
Exactly. Now remember, even if you do make a small mistake, don't panic.
Okay.
Just correct it safely and keep going.
All right.
The examiners are looking for overall competence and safe driving habits.
That's reassuring. It's good to know that they're not expecting perfection.
No.
Okay, so we've covered all the major aspects of the road test, from the inspections to the highway driving to the dreaded backing up. I have to say I'm feeling much more prepared for this challenge now.
That's great to hear. Remember, thorough preparation and a calm, confident approach are your keys to success. And this guide, with all its insider tips and practical advice, is your secret weapon.
Absolutely. It's like having a personal coach in my pocket guiding me every step of the way. Okay, so what happens after the road test?
Yeah.
Assuming I aced it, of course.
Right.
What's next on this journey to Class F freedom?
Well, if you've successfully completed all the requirements, you'll receive your temporary Class F license on the spot. Then you'll receive your permanent license in the mail a few weeks later.
That's fantastic. So all that hard work and preparation will finally pay off?
It will.
I can't wait to get my hands on that Class F license and start exploring all the amazing opportunities that come with it.
Speaking of opportunities, that's something I wanted to touch on. Now that you're equipped with the knowledge to get your Class F license, what exciting possibilities do you see opening up for you?
That's a great question. Honestly, the possibilities seem endless. I could see myself driving a shuttle bus, transporting passengers to and from the airport or to special events.
That's a great option.
Yeah.
It's a job that allows you to interact with people, see different places, and be a part of their travel experiences.
Exactly. Or maybe I could get involved with medical transportation, driving patients to and from appointments, or helping with non-emergency medical transport.
Oh, wow.
It's a way to use my driving skills to make a real difference in people's lives.
That's a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
And it's a field that's always in demand.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know, it feels meaningful, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Or I could explore opportunities in the tourism industry, driving tour groups, or providing transportation for sightseeing excursions.
That would be fun.
Right?
So many possibilities.
It's exciting to think about all the doors that a Class F license can open.
And remember, it's not just about the driving itself.
Right.
It's about the connections you can make, the people you can help, and the experiences you can be a part of.
It's a whole new world waiting to be explored.
It is.
I love that perspective. It's not just a license, it's a passport to new adventures and opportunities. I can't wait to embark on this journey. Okay, before we wrap things up, is there anything else we need to cover? Any final words of wisdom from our guide?
The guide's final piece of advice is simple but powerful. Don't be afraid to go for it.
I love that.
Believe in yourself, trust your preparation, and embrace the challenge.
Yeah.
Getting your Class F license is a rewarding achievement, and it can open up some amazing possibilities in your life.
Absolutely. And, I think this is just the beginning of our exploration of this whole Class F world. I'm sure there's so much more to discover.
Oh, definitely. We've only just scratched the surface.
So stay tuned for more deep dives, more insights, and more inspiration as we continue our journey together.
Sounds good.
Don't be afraid to go for it. That's such a great way to put it. It's easy to get caught up in the details and feel a little intimidated, but it's all about taking that first step,
Absolutely. And this guide really breaks it down in a way that makes it feel achievable. It's not this big, scary, mysterious process anymore.
Right. It's demystified. And that's so important because I think a lot of people are probably interested in getting their Class F, but just feel overwhelmed by the whole thing.
Yeah, I can see that. But this guide really shines a light on the process. It's like, okay, here's what you need to do, and here's how to do it.
Exactly. And I've been thinking about all the amazing things people could do with a Class F license. It's not just about driving a bigger vehicle, it's about the opportunities it opens up.
Totally. And we were just talking about those opportunities before the break, weren't we?
We were. I was getting all excited about the possibilities, driving a shuttle bus, maybe working in medical transportation, even exploring the tourism industry.
So many options.
It's like a whole new world of possibilities. But before we get ahead of ourselves, we still need to master that road test. We left off on the backing up challenge, which I have to admit is a little nerve-wracking.
It's understandable to be nervous about that part.
Yeah. But our guide had some really helpful tips for acing the backing up portion.
They did. And, I think the most surprising one was actually the simplest. Getting out to look before you back up.
It does seem counterintuitive, doesn't it? Like, shouldn't you be able to handle it from inside the vehicle?
You'd think so.
Yeah.
But the examiners really insist on that walk around. And it makes sense when you consider the safety aspect.
Right. You got a much bigger blind spot behind you when you're driving a larger vehicle.
Exactly. So taking that extra moment to physically check your surroundings can prevent accidents. It shows the examiner that you're taking safety seriously.
It's like that old saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Exactly.
Okay, so I've done my walk around, I've checked for any obstacles, and I'm feeling confident. What's next? What's the proper procedure for actually backing up?
All right, so first things first. Signal your intention to back up. Then turn on your four-way flashers and give a gentle tap of the horn to alert anyone nearby.
Signal, flashers, horn, got it. Now, for the actual backing up, any tips for doing it smoothly and confidently?
The key is to maintain slow, controlled movements.
Okay.
Use your mirrors and your spatial awareness to guide you. And try to avoid making too many adjustments. The smoother you can do it, the better.
So no jerky movements or frantic steering wheel turns. Smooth and steady wins the race.
Exactly. And what about the backup camera?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Should I use it or avoid it?
The guide actually recommends avoiding the backup camera, even if your vehicle has one. It's all about showcasing your ability to maneuver the vehicle using the traditional methods, relying on your mirrors and your own judgment. It's like a test of your classic driving skills.
I see. It's like proving you can handle it the old school way. No fancy technology needed.
Right.
Okay, so no backup camera. Just smooth and steady, backing up using my mirrors and my wits. Got it. Oh, and what if I make a mistake? Like, what if I don't back up perfectly straight or I have to adjust a couple of times? Is that an automatic fail?
Don't panic. The examiners aren't expecting absolute perfection. They know that even experienced drivers make minor mistakes sometimes.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better.
The important thing is to correct any mistakes safely and keep going. They're looking for overall competence and safe driving habits, not robotic precision.
That's reassuring. It's good to know that they're taking the whole picture into account. Okay, so we've covered all the major aspects of the road test, from the inspections to the highway driving to the dreaded backing up. I have to say, I'm feeling much more prepared for this challenge now.
That's fantastic. And remember, a big part of success is simply believing in yourself and your abilities.
You're right. It's about having that confidence and knowing that you've put in the work to prepare. And this guide has been so helpful in boosting my confidence. It's like having a secret weapon in my back pocket.
It really is. And, it's inspiring to think about all the people who have used this guide to achieve their Class F dreams. They started out just like you, curious, maybe a little intimidated, but ultimately determined to succeed.
And they did succeed, and so can you. And that brings us to the really exciting part. What happens after the road test? What's next on this journey to Class F freedom?
So let's say you've aced the road test. You've impressed those examiners with your knowledge, your skills, your smooth backing up maneuvers.
I'm picturing it now.
You've crossed the finish line. What happens next? Well, you get your temporary Class F license right then and there.
On the spot. That's awesome.
Right, you've earned it. And then you'll receive your permanent license in the mail a few weeks later.
Fantastic. So all that hard work and preparation finally pays off. It's official. You're a Class F driver.
You are. And now the real adventure begins. What are you going to do with your newfound freedom?
That's the big question, isn't it? And it's so exciting to think about all the possibilities. We were talking about some of them earlier: shuttle bus driving, medical transportation, tourism.
And so many more.
It's like this license opens up a whole new world. But, it's not just about the specific jobs. It's about the impact you can make.
That's so true.
Like, imagine being a medical transport driver and helping people get to their appointments, maybe even providing comfort and support during a difficult time.
You're making a real difference in people's lives.
Exactly. Or maybe you're a shuttle bus driver and you're helping tourists explore a new city, creating those memorable experiences.
It's about connecting with people, being a part of their journeys.
I love that perspective. It's not just driving, it's about the human connection, the positive impact you can have. It's pretty powerful stuff.
It is. And, I think this guide really captures that sense of purpose and possibility. It's not just a technical manual. It's a guide to a whole new way of thinking about driving and what it can achieve.
I agree. It's inspiring. And it makes me even more excited to embark on this Class F adventure. Okay, before we wrap things up, is there anything else we need to cover? Any final words of wisdom from our guide? Any last-minute tips or encouragement?
Well, the guide does emphasize one really important thing. It's okay to be nervous. Even experienced drivers get those pre-test jitters.
Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely feeling those butterflies in my stomach just thinking about the road test.
It's totally normal.
Huh.
But here's the thing. You can use those nerves to your advantage.
Oh, how so?
Channel that nervous energy into focus and determination. Use it to fuel your preparation and to stay alert and aware during the test. It can actually make you a better driver.
So turn those nerves into a superpower. I love it.
Exactly.
Okay, any final words of encouragement before we wrap up this deep dive into the world of the Class F license?
Just this. You've got this. Believe in yourself, trust your preparation, and go out there and ace that test. We're cheering you on every step of the way.
Yes, we believe in you. And we can't wait to hear about your experiences and successes. So go out there, get that Class F license, and then let us know how it goes.
And as you head out on the road with your shiny new license, we leave you with this thought. What amazing adventures and opportunities will this newfound freedom unlock for you?
That's such a great question to ponder. So to all our listeners out there who are embarking on this Class F journey, we wish you the best of luck. Remember, the road ahead is full of possibilities, so buckle up, enjoy the ride, and drive safely.
Drive safe.
It really gets you thinking, doesn't it? Like all these doors suddenly swing open.
It does.
It's not just a piece of paper, it's a whole new set of possibilities.
And what I appreciate about this guide is that it addresses that feeling of being overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
It acknowledges that it's a big step.
Right. It's not like getting your regular driver's license. It's a whole other level.
Exactly. But the guide breaks it down in a way that makes it feel manageable.
That's what I liked about it. It doesn't sugarcoat it, but it also doesn't make it seem impossible.
Right. It's realistic.
So for someone listening who's thinking, okay, this sounds interesting, but is it really for me? What's the one thing that might convince them to take that leap?
I think it's that emphasis on why. The guide doesn't just tell you what to do. It explains the reasoning behind the rules and procedures.
You're so right. It's not just about memorizing stuff. It's about understanding the bigger picture.
And that makes a huge difference. It turns it from a chore into a learning experience.
You're not just following orders, you're developing a deeper understanding of how to be a safe and responsible driver.
Exactly. And I think that's what ultimately sets this guide apart. It's not just about passing a test. It's about becoming a skilled and confident Class F driver.
And that confidence translates into everything you do on the road.
Absolutely. It's about being in control, knowing your vehicle, and anticipating potential hazards.
It's like you're not just reacting, you're proactive.
Yeah.
And that makes you a safer driver for yourself and everyone else on the road.
Exactly. And I think that's something to be proud of.
It is. It's a real accomplishment. So, to wrap things up, what would you say to someone who's feeling inspired but still a little unsure?
I'd say, take that first step.
Yes.
Read the guide, check out those online resources, and just start exploring the possibilities. You might be surprised at what you discover about yourself and what you're capable of.
That's such great advice. And the amazing thing is that this guide was created by a paramedic student who was just starting out on their journey, just like many of our listeners.
And they were successful.
They were, and that's proof that anyone can achieve their Class F dreams if they set their mind to it. So to everyone listening, go for it.
Go for it.
Embrace the challenge, have fun with it, and don't be afraid to ask for help along the way. We're here to support you every step of the way.
Absolutely.
So until next time, happy driving.
Happy driving.
Okay. Ever hopped on a bus and wondered what it takes to, to be the one behind the wheel of one of those massive vehicles?
Yeah.
Today we're diving deep into the world of Ontario bus licenses.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and we're using the official Ministry of Transportation bus handbook as our guide.
Okay.
So whether you're thinking about becoming a bus driver yourself or just curious about those the rules of the road, get ready for some some surprising facts about those big yellow behemoths.
You might be surprised to learn just how much goes into obtaining and maintaining a bus license. It's not just about driving skills.
Right.
It's about safety, responsibility, and like a deep understanding of the vehicle itself.
Yeah. Right off the bat, I was struck by all the different license classifications.
Okay.
A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
It's a whole alphabet soup of licenses.
It might seem daunting at first, but
Yeah.
each class represents a specific type of vehicle and the skills required to operate it safely.
So, like, a Class A is for those massive tractor-trailer combinations, and the Class G is for the everyday cars that we all see out on the road.
Exactly.
But what about, like, those buses?
Well, if you're thinking of driving a standard bus, you'd need a Class C
Okay.
or F license.
Okay.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Imagine having the freedom to drive like almost any vehicle on the road.
Yeah.
That's the power of a Class B license.
Wow.
It not only allows you to drive a school bus,
Oh, wow.
but also any vehicle
Oh, wow.
in classes C, D, E, F, and G.
Whoa. A Class B license opens up, like, a world of possibilities.
Right.
So that means someone with a Class B could be driving a school bus one day and then like a delivery truck or even a smaller tour bus the next.
Exactly. It gives them a lot of options
Yeah.
in the transportation industry.
Okay, so let's say someone's intrigued by this Class B license and the idea of driving a school bus.
Yeah. What does it actually take to get behind the wheel?
It's a multi-step process
Okay.
that emphasizes safety and responsibility every step of the way.
Okay.
First off, just like for a commercial license, you'd need a medical examination
Okay.
to make sure you're fit to handle a vehicle of that size and the responsibility that comes with it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You're carrying precious cargo.
Okay.
Okay, so medical check. What's next?
Next up is a vision screening.
Okay.
Good eyesight is crucial for
Yeah.
safe driving, no matter the vehicle.
Right.
But especially when you're responsible for a whole bus load of people.
Absolutely. And speaking of school buses, those drivers, I mean, they have a whole other level of responsibility on their shoulders.
Right.
What are the specific requirements for obtaining a school bus license?
You're right. Obtaining a school bus license, especially for those larger buses requiring a Class B or E license, has additional requirements.
Okay. You need a clean driving record. You have to complete a driver improvement course approved by the MTO.
Okay.
And there are even stricter demerit point restrictions.
Okay.
You can have no more than 6 demerit points before applying,
Okay.
and no more than 8 while holding the license.
Whoa. So not only do you need, like, top-notch driving skills,
Yeah.
but you also need a spotless driving record
Pretty much.
that really highlights the level of responsibility, entrusted to school bus drivers.
Exactly. The MTO wants to ensure that anyone entrusted with the safety of children on a school bus is a responsible and experienced driver.
Okay, so we've talked about medical and vision checks, a clean driving record. What else is involved in the licensing process?
Well, then it's time to hit the books.
Okay.
You'll need to pass a knowledge test that covers everything from traffic laws to vehicle maintenance.
Okay.
And that's where a handy-dandy handbook comes in.
All right.
It's packed with information and is essential for acing that test.
I bet there are some surprising things in there.
Oh, yeah.
But before we get to the handbook, I'm curious about the driving test itself.
Okay.
Do you have to take it in a giant bus, or can you use a smaller vehicle?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
You actually need to take the test in a vehicle that matches the size requirements of the license you're going for.
Okay.
So for a Class C or F,
Yeah.
you'll need a properly sized bus.
That makes sense.
Right.
You wouldn't want someone learning to parallel park a giant bus for the first time
Exactly.
with passengers on board. But hold on, what about those buses with the air brakes?
Right.
Those seem even more complex.
You're right. Those require a Z endorsement
Okay.
on your license.
Okay.
It signifies you have additional training and knowledge
Okay.
specific to air brake systems,
Right.
which are crucial
Yeah.
for larger vehicles.
Yeah. Okay, so those air brakes are serious business. Now, one thing that really stood out to me in the handbook was the daily inspections.
Okay.
I thought taking my car in for a basic inspection was thorough.
Yeah.
But this is next level.
You're telling me
Yeah.
bus drivers are required to conduct incredibly detailed inspections
Okay.
every single day to ensure the vehicle is in top working condition.
Mm-hmm.
The handbook actually categorizes defects
Okay.
as either major or minor.
Okay.
Major defects, like a flat tire or
Yeah.
broken spring,
Yeah.
mean you absolutely cannot drive the bus.
Okay.
Minor defects need to be reported and monitored,
Right.
but don't
Yeah.
necessarily ground the vehicle.
So even like seemingly small defects can have big implications for safety. It's
Right.
like they're trying to catch those problems before they become serious.
Exactly. It highlights the shared responsibility
Uh-huh.
between the driver and the bus operator
Right.
in maintaining the vehicle's safety.
Mm.
It's not just about checking the tires and lights.
Yeah.
It's about a comprehensive understanding of the vehicle's mechanics.
You mentioned a shared responsibility,
Mm.
which is interesting.
Yeah.
It's not just on the driver's shoulders.
Right.
Everyone involved plays a role.
Yep.
What kind of details are we talking about here?
The handbook even has a detailed guide
Okay.
on checking the air brakes,
Okay.
showing how seriously they take safety.
Yeah.
Even down to the tiniest details.
So like what?
They even check things like the padding
Okay.
on the stanchions.
Total what?
Those poles people hold on to.
Oh, okay.
It's about passenger comfort and safety.
Now you might be thinking like stanchion padding, who cares?
Right.
But think about it.
Yeah.
Those are the things you grab onto when the bus is moving. Safe and comfy padding is essential. Yeah. Especially if you're standing.
Right. And it's not just about comfort.
Yeah.
It's about preventing injuries.
Yeah.
These inspections demonstrate the professional nature of bus driving.
Mm.
It's not just about getting from point A to point B.
Right.
It's about ensuring the safety and well-being of everyone on board.
Yeah.
And everyone sharing the road. It's a
Mhm.
big responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is impressive how much emphasis they place on
Yeah.
ensuring passenger safety.
I agree. And it's clear that safety extends beyond just routine
Right.
maintenance. What about those unexpected situations like
Yeah.
breakdowns or even worse, collisions?
Oh, right.
Those must be incredibly stressful for a bus driver.
Absolutely, and that's why the handbook dedicates a whole section to dealing with emergencies.
Okay.
It walks you through like the steps to take in various situations, emphasizing the importance of staying calm and acting quickly.
So we've talked about what happens when a bus needs a pit stop.
Yeah.
What if things get more serious? Like, what if there's a collision?
Collisions are obviously more serious and legally and morally.
Right.
The driver has to stay at the scene to render assistance.
Right.
The handbook differentiates between collisions with and without injuries.
Okay.
But in both cases, the driver's responsibility to ensure everyone's safety
Right.
is paramount.
That's a good reminder for everyone, no matter what you're driving.
Right.
You have a responsibility to stay at the scene and
Yeah.
help if you're involved in a collision.
Exactly. It's about being a responsible citizen
Yeah.
and ensuring that anyone who's been injured receives the help they need. If there are injuries, the handbook really stresses the importance of having a well-stocked first aid kit.
Speaking of first aid kits, I'm curious about the ones on school buses. Okay.
Do they have any special supplies considering they're carrying so many children?
You know, they actually are required to have first aid kits on board.
Okay.
And it goes beyond just having the kit.
Oh.
The handbook emphasizes
Right.
knowing how to use those supplies.
Yeah.
It even recommends taking a first aid course, which is a great idea
Right.
for everyone, not just bus drivers.
Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to emergencies.
Right.
What else does the handbook say about dealing with collisions?
Well, it outlines a clear set of steps to take if there are injuries.
Okay.
Calling for help, securing the scene to prevent further accidents,
Right.
providing basic first aid if you're trained,
Okay.
and staying with the injured people until help arrives.
It's about taking charge
Mm-hmm.
and being proactive, even when it's a scary situation. Exactly. Even if there aren't any injuries,
Yeah.
the handbook still outlines steps to take.
Okay.
Exchanging information with the other driver, reporting the incident to the police if the damage is over
Okay.
$2,000, and contacting your insurance company. It's about ensuring everything is documented properly and all parties involved are protected.
So even a minor fender bender requires following protocol.
Right, and all of this just goes to show that bus drivers
Yeah.
have to be prepared for anything.
We've covered breakdowns, collisions, but there's another emergency that comes to mind: fires.
Oh yeah.
I can only imagine how terrifying that would be, especially on a bus.
Thankfully, fires are rare, but they can be incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
The handbook lists some common causes like leaking fuel, electrical shorts,
Right.
and even overheated brakes or underinflated tires.
Yeah.
It really highlights the importance of those daily inspections we talked about earlier.
It's amazing how something as simple as keeping your tires properly inflated can actually help prevent a fire.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, every bus is required to have a fire extinguisher.
Right.
And the driver needs to know how to use it.
I bet there's a specific technique
Yeah.
to using a fire extinguisher correctly. I wouldn't want to just be guessing in that situation.
There is a proper technique.
Right.
It's something that everyone should learn.
Yeah.
In a bus fire, the priority is evacuating passengers quickly and safely, getting them to a safe distance
Right.
away from the vehicle.
Safety first.
Right. Yeah.
Now, we've covered a lot of intense situations, but let's switch gears a bit and talk about something a little more routine.
Okay.
Traffic signs and signals. We all learned about those in driver's ed, right?
You'd think so, but the handbook goes into surprising detail
Okay.
about everything from regulatory signs to those markings on the pavement.
Yeah.
It's like a refresher course,
Right.
but with interesting nuances
Okay.
specific to bus driving.
I'm always up for a good refresher.
Yeah.
Give me some examples of those interesting nuances.
Well, remember those HOV lanes?
Yeah.
We talked about earlier.
Yeah.
The handbook specifies that buses can use those lanes at any time,
Okay.
regardless of the number of passengers on board.
Oh, okay.
It's one of the perks of driving a bus.
So it's like a fast track
Right.
for buses.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It must help keep traffic flowing smoothly
Mhm.
and make sure that buses can stay on schedule.
Exactly.
Okay.
But there are still rules to follow. The handbook makes it clear that you have to um, stay within that designated HOV lane
Okay.
and not cross over that striped buffer zone.
So it's a privilege, not a free for all.
Exactly, and it's just one example of the many traffic regulations
Yeah.
that bus drivers have to be mindful of.
You mentioned that bus drivers have to be mindful of many regulations. Is there anything else that stands out in the handbook?
One section that really resonated with me was the one on sharing the road with other vehicles.
Right.
It goes beyond basic courtesy.
Mm-hmm.
It's about understanding the unique challenges
Yeah.
that different types of vehicles face.
Right.
For instance, the handbook specifically talks about motorcycles,
Okay.
emphasizing their vulnerability
Right.
and the need to be extra cautious when passing or returning near them.
Yeah, motorcycles definitely require extra caution.
Yes. I know. I always double check my blind spots
Mm.
before making any sudden moves when I'm driving near a motorcycle.
That's a good practice for any driver.
Yeah.
The handbook also covers sharing the road with farm machinery,
Okay.
highlighting that these vehicles often travel much slower
Right.
and might make unexpected turns.
It's easy to forget about farm machinery when you're driving in like a city.
Yeah.
But in rural areas, it's a common sight.
Yeah.
Those slow moving vehicle signs are definitely a good reminder to be patient.
Absolutely. And it's not just about being patient.
Yeah.
It's about being proactive
Mhm.
and anticipating potential hazards.
Right.
A good bus driver is always thinking ahead,
Yeah.
scanning the road for potential problems
Uh-huh.
and adjusting their driving accordingly.
It's like they have a sixth sense for traffic.
In a way, they do.
You know, it's about developing that heightened awareness
Mhm.
of your surroundings and constantly assessing the situation.
Right.
It's also about understanding the limitations
Yeah.
of your vehicle and driving within those boundaries.
Okay, so we've talked about sharing the road with other vehicles,
Yeah.
but let's not forget about the most vulnerable road users, pedestrians.
Pedestrians are always a top priority.
Right.
The handbook dedicates a significant portion to pedestrian safety.
Okay.
It emphasizes yielding the right of way, especially at crosswalks,
Right.
and being extra cautious when driving near schools, parks,
Yeah.
or anywhere pedestrians are likely to be.
I'm noticing a recurring theme here.
Yeah.
Awareness.
Right.
Whether it's other vehicles, pedestrians, or even potential hazards on the road.
Yeah.
A good bus driver is constantly scanning their surroundings and
Yeah.
thinking about what might happen next. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's impressive.
Absolutely. It's about being proactive,
Yeah.
rather than reactive.
Right.
And that's what sets a skilled and experienced bus driver apart.
And it's not just about awareness.
Right.
It's about control. A bus is much larger and heavier
Yeah.
than a car,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes a certain level of skill and precision
Yeah.
to handle it safely.
You've hit on another crucial aspect of bus driving.
Okay.
The handbook goes into detail about different driving techniques,
Okay.
from steering and braking
Yeah.
to turning and backing up,
Right.
highlighting the importance of smooth and controlled movements.
I bet backing up a bus is a whole other ballgame compared to backing up a car.
Totally.
That must be pretty nerve-wracking.
It can be. The handbook actually provides tips for backing up safely,
Okay.
including using your mirrors, having a spotter to guide you,
Okay.
and maintaining a slow, controlled speed.
So it's all about control and precision.
Yep.
Just like we've been talking about.
It takes a special kind of person to be a bus driver,
Yeah.
someone who is responsible, patient, skilled,
Mm.
and dedicated to safety.
Well, I, for one, am feeling a newfound respect for all those bus drivers out there.
Yeah.
They're kind of the unsung heroes of our roads,
Right.
keeping us safe and
Yeah.
getting us where we need to go.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
They're professionals
Yeah.
who play a vital role
Yeah.
in our communities.
Speaking of professionals, let's talk about the ultimate test of a bus driver's abilities, the road test.
Right.
I imagine it's pretty intense.
The road test really puts all their knowledge and skills to the test.
Mm-hmm.
The handbook does a great job of preparing you for what to expect.
So what does the road test actually entail?
Okay.
Is it just about like parallel parking and navigating traffic, or
Yeah.
or is there more to it than that?
It's way more comprehensive than that.
Okay.
You might be surprised to learn that it actually starts with the daily inspection we
Right.
talked about earlier.
Right.
The examiner will watch you do the whole inspection to
Okay.
make sure you're thorough
Yeah.
and that you know your stuff when it comes to the vehicle.
So it's not just about knowing how to drive the bus.
Yeah.
You have to prove that you understand its inner workings.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about demonstrating that you have a complete understanding of
Right.
bus operation and safety.
Okay, so you pass the inspection. What happens next?
Then it's time to hit the road.
Okay.
The examiner will assess your driving skills in all kinds of situations.
Yeah.
Starting and stopping smoothly, making turns, changing lanes, merging into traffic, driving on the highway, and yes, even backing up.
Backing up a bus in a test situation.
Yeah.
That must be nerve-wracking.
It can be, but the handbook gives some good advice.
Okay.
It emphasizes using your mirrors,
Right.
checking blind spots, and taking it slow and steady.
So it's all about control and precision,
Exactly.
just like we've been talking about.
Yep.
What happens after you've aced the driving portion of the test?
Yeah.
Are you officially a licensed bus driver?
Not quite.
Okay.
There's one last step, the post-test interview.
Okay.
The examiner will go over your performance
Okay.
and point out any areas where you did well
Yeah.
and any areas where you could improve.
So it's like a debriefing session
Yeah.
where you get some valuable feedback.
Exactly. It's a chance to learn from the experience and become an even better bus driver.
Well, this deep dive has been fascinating. I'm starting to think that the Ontario bus licensing process is one of the most thorough out there.
It really is comprehensive. It covers everything from vehicle mechanics to emergency procedures to interacting with passengers.
Right.
It's clear that the MTO prioritizes safety
Yeah.
above all else.
I completely agree. I had no idea
Yeah.
how much went into becoming a bus driver.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a job to be taken lightly.
It's a challenging
Yeah.
but rewarding profession,
Mhm.
and it takes a special kind of person to do it well.
Now that we've explored all the technical aspects of becoming a bus driver,
Right.
I'm curious to hear about the more
Yeah.
human side of things.
Yeah.
What about things like driver fatigue,
Right.
or dealing with distractions on the road?
Those are important considerations.
Yeah.
Remember, bus drivers are human too,
Right.
and they're subject to the same fatigue and distractions
Yeah.
as anyone else on the road.
You're right. It's easy to forget that bus drivers face the same challenges
Yeah.
as other drivers, even though they're operating a much larger vehicle.
Right.
What does the handbook say about managing driver fatigue?
It acknowledges that drowsiness and fatigue are real dangers,
Right.
especially for drivers working long hours or overnight shifts.
Yeah.
The handbook provides practical advice
Okay.
on how to combat fatigue.
Like what?
Things like taking regular breaks, staying hydrated,
Right.
and avoiding caffeine and sugary snacks,
Right.
which might give you a temporary boost, but ultimately lead to a crash later on.
It sounds like it's all about taking care of yourself, both
Yeah.
physically and mentally, to be in the best shape possible for the demands of driving a bus.
Exactly. And remember, it's not just about the driver's well-being.
Right.
It's about the safety of everyone on the road.
Speaking of safety, I'm sure distracted driving is
Right.
is a huge concern for bus drivers,
Yeah.
especially in today's world
Yeah.
where everyone is constantly connected to their phones.
You're absolutely right. The handbook takes a very clear stance against distracted driving.
Okay.
It even emphasizes that hands-free devices can still take your attention away from the road.
Mm-hmm.
It encourages drivers to minimize distractions by planning their routes in advance, adjusting their settings before they start driving, and if they absolutely have to make a call or send a text, pulling over to a safe spot first.
Yeah, it's all about prioritizing safety over convenience.
Right.
A few minutes of delay is nothing compared to the potential consequences of distracted driving.
Couldn't agree more. And it's not just about technology.
Oh.
The handbook also talks about distractions that can come from inside the bus,
Oh.
like rowdy passengers or unexpected events.
Oh, I can only imagine trying to stay focused
Right.
when you've got a bus full of like excited school children or tourists.
It definitely takes patience and focus.
Yeah.
The handbook provides some strategies for managing those situations,
Okay.
like setting clear rules and expectations,
Okay.
communicating with your passengers effectively,
Right.
and using the help of chaperones or spotters,
Right.
if they're available.
So it's all about preparation
Yeah.
and having a plan in place to handle those unexpected moments that can pop up when you're driving a bus.
Yeah.
It sounds like bus driving involves involves a lot more than just technical skills behind the wheel.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's about being mentally prepared and adaptable.
Yeah.
There are a lot of responsibilities that come with being entrusted with the safety of your passengers.
Well, I think we've covered just about everything
Yeah.
in this deep dive into the official Ministry of Transportation bus handbook. It's been a real eye-opener, to say the
It's
least.
been a fascinating exploration.
Yeah.
What surprised you the most about this handbook? Was there anything you found particularly interesting or unexpected?
Honestly, I was surprised by how in-depth and thorough the handbook is.
Yeah.
I came into this thinking it would be a pretty straightforward, maybe even a dry read.
Right.
But I was so wrong.
Yeah.
It really goes beyond just the rules and regulations. It paints a complete picture of what it takes to be a bus driver in Ontario.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's clear that a lot of thought and care went into putting this resource together. It's a real testament to how seriously Ontario takes safety in its transportation system.
Absolutely. This deep dive has given me a whole new appreciation for the complexity of bus driving. There's so much more to it than meets the eye, and the handbook really highlights the skill, the responsibility, and the dedication required to be a safe and competent bus driver.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
So the next time you see a bus out on the road,
Yeah.
take a moment to think about all that goes into operating that vehicle safely. Think about the driver's rigorous training, those daily inspections, the constant awareness, and the unwavering commitment to passenger safety. It's truly a profession that deserves our respect.
Well said. On that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the world of Ontario bus licenses. We hope you've enjoyed the ride.
And remember, whether you're a seasoned driver or pedestrian, we all have a role to play in keeping our roads safe for everyone. Until next time.